Have you ever felt like you're trying to hit some huge goal, like you want to get in great shape or build some real wealth, but all the advice out there just makes it sound insanely complicated? Well, in this explainer, we're going to boil down the core philosophy of the YouTube channel Easy Actually into a simple, super powerful framework for tackling those hard goals, but, without all the burnout. So let's just start with a question that I think, honestly, a lot of us have probably asked ourselves. Why does self-improvement feel so incredibly hard these days? If you've ever felt that constant pressure to be optimizing, to be better, you're definitely in the right place. And it's really no wonder we feel this way. I mean, look at this. The source material points out this whole cocktail of modern anxieties that are pushing on us from all sides. Housing is unaffordable, making friends as an adult feels impossible, every single hobby has to be a side hustle, you've got these insane beauty standards. It all just creates this constant nagging feeling that if we aren't maximizing every single moment of our lives, we're falling behind. And that feeling leads us right into the first huge insight of this whole philosophy, this relentless chase for the optimal plan. It's a total trap. It's this myth that there's always a better, faster, more perfect way to do something, and if we just do a little more research, we'll find that one magic bullet. But spoiler alert, that's just not how it works. You see, the whole problem with chasing optimal can be explained by this one core economic idea, diminishing returns. And in simple terms, all it means is that the more effort you put into something, the less you get back for each extra bit of work, right? The first hour you study for a test is absolutely crucial. The eighth hour, not so much. And this slide just shows it perfectly. Take a look at this bar chart for working out. That minimum dose of just 4 sets gets you a whopping 80% of the muscle gain. Now, to get to that so-called optimal 95%, you have to more than double your effort to 10 sets. And to max out at 100%, you're looking at 20 sets. The effort just skyrockets for teeny tiny gains. So here's the key point. Obsessively chasing that last 10% of perfection is just incredibly inefficient. It costs a massive amount of your time and your energy, and it often leads directly to burnout, all for these little marginal gains you probably won't even notice. Okay, so if chasing the perfect plan is a trap, what's the alternative? Well, it all comes down to one simple, almost boring, but unbelievably powerful force: consistency. Just showing up. This timeline here shows us something really important about how progress works. It is not a straight line. Look at year 1. You get those amazing newbie gains where progress feels fast and exciting, but then it slows way down. And this is the exact point where most people get discouraged and quit, not realizing that this is just a normal, expected part of the journey. And the source material just nails the problem with this all or nothing mindset. People get completely stuck in this cycle of intense effort followed by a total collapse. They go super hard for a few weeks, burn out, stop for a month, lose all their progress, and then start that whole frustrating cycle all over again. I mean, just look at this comparison. It doesn't matter if we're talking about fitness or finance, the story is exactly the same. The person who works out just twice a week, but does it every single week without fail, is going to absolutely crush the person who goes 6 times a week, but quits every other month. The slow, consistent plodder always beats the frantic, inconsistent optimizer in the long run. But just knowing you need to be consistent isn't enough, is it? The third, and you could argue the most important piece of this puzzle, is realizing that the biggest battle you're ever going to fight is the one happening right between your own ears. One of the biggest reasons we fail, according to the source, is that our brains are just plain terrible at understanding exponential growth. Think about a long diet. The hunger doesn't just add up day by day. It compounds. The 10th week feels exponentially harder than the first week, and our minds are just not prepared for that psychological cliff. So what this really means is that your biggest obstacle isn't a lack of willpower. It's your own internal programming. Your brain is running on these established beliefs and feedback loops that can either serve you or completely sabotage you, often without you even realizing it's happening. So how do you fix this? Well, the source points to this method from Psycho-Cybernetics, which is this classic book all about changing your self-image. It's basically a 4-step process to reprogram your brain. First, you have to identify that core negative belief. Second, you actively reject the flimsy, false evidence your brain uses to support it. Third, you vividly, and I mean vividly, visualize what success looks and feels like. And finally, you take small actions that create new evidence to prove that old belief wrong. You are literally overwriting the old code. Okay, so let's tie all these pieces together. After hearing all this, what does this phrase easy actually really mean?
And this is so crucial. Easy does not mean lazy. It doesn't mean a lack of effort. It means sustainable, a pace you could keep up for years, not just for a few weeks. It means simple, focusing on the 20% of actions that are going to get you 80% of the results. And it means psychologically sound, creating a system that anticipates your brain's weaknesses and actually works with them, not against them.
So let's just put it all on one page. What this all boils down to is this. A good enough plan that you actually stick with is infinitely better than a perfect plan that you quit. It means recognizing that consistency is your real superpower. It means understanding that mastering your own mind is the first step to mastering anything else. And if you can just focus on that slow, steady, forward progress, you will eventually become unbeatable. You just have to play the long game. And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. As you look at your own life and your own big goals, what is that one thing that has always felt impossible that by applying these principles